Good evening, friends. So, I'll tell you guys something. I always like the joke that, this Facebook page is a non-profit organization. Profit would be spelled Prophet. This is a non-profit organization. However, my friends, it seems like the stuff that I was talking about when I was talking directly at the African American community, it looks like one of these components kind of came to fruition. What am I referring to? At some point, I started directing a certain idea that African American community. I started saying to them, guys, if you really want to have a what's called an Oppression Olympics competition, look no further than your biggest competitor, the Jewish people. But then I started saying, and I listed all of the people and all of the times that we were ever oppressed in the last 2,000 years, maybe more, like 3,000 years. But I said, here's some advice. We were oppressed by Egypt, Persia, Babylon, Nazis, Russia, Soviet Union, Crusades, Spain, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And I said to the African American community that, but something, we rose above all that, and we transcended all of that stuff. The oppression is real, the oppression is true, but we rose above it. How did we rise above it? Because we decided that we are not slaves. We were once slaves, and then we started telling ourselves that we're not slaves anymore, to the point where it's in our liturgy. We say we're not slaves, we're not downtrodden, we're not victims, every single day, 2 times a day, maybe 3 times a day, right? And, and whatever, that fell on deaf ears, which is fine. And all of a sudden now, my friends, this is where the profit part comes in. You see this wonderful hashtag on Twitter by the name of Jewish privilege. It was started by anti-Semites in America who wanted to show that Jews have privilege in America, just like whites. Jews are like on par with whites. And so the Jews in America, what do? Like the sheep. By sheep, I don't mean like mindless. I mean like the downtrodden, scared sheep, self-perception sheep that they are. They start writing on Twitter, oh, hashtag Jewish privilege. You mean the Holocaust that I went through? You mean the pogrom that I went through? You mean this that I went through? You mean that I went through? My friends, you can go on Twitter today, you can go on all Facebook, social media, you could see all these wonderful, what I call Israel advocacy people, and all these Jewish activists, and all these Jewish intellectuals and thinkers, and American Jews, thought leaders, who are, let me tell you about Jewish privilege, yeah, when I couldn't find my grandfather from the camps, and la 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 la, and blah 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 blah. My friends, like I said before, they did a study, the Pew Research Survey did a study, and they asked Jews in America, how do they identify with their heritage and their culture and their tradition? The number one answer, Family Feud survey says, remembering the Holocaust. My friends, it's 7 years later, nothing has changed. The Jews have sunk into the mode, or are still in that mode, the American Jews, as a result of the exile, as a result of being downtrodden, and no matter how much money you guys make, no matter how many prominent positions you reach, no matter how many Madoffs and Soroses and these guys we have, you guys are still the ghetto Jew. You're still that ghetto Jew because you're talking about, let me tell you about Jewish privilege and the pogrom and the Holocaust I went through, and my grandparents. My friends, the very Oppression Olympics that I spoke about, that I told the African American community, I said to them that we could play, you guys for some reason, my Jewish brothers and sisters in America, decided that you're gonna play it. I didn't say that we have to play it. I said that we have to transcend it, and we did transcend it. But for some reason, you guys are playing it. You're playing it out in the open. You're playing it on Twitter and this and that and the other. My friends, I will tell you something, and I will tell you something. You're right, we do have Jewish privilege. Everybody's right. You know what that privilege is? I'll show you visually what that privilege is. You guys can't see so much now because it's nighttime. This is the privilege right here. This is the privilege. I got your privilege right here. Here, check this out. You see behind me? Jerusalem stone, my friends. We haven't lived here. We came back here in the late 1800s, my friends. We started a state in 1948 after a long battle against our enemies for about 60 years or 70 years, and amongst each other, not just against our Arab enemies and European, British, and Turkish and Ottomans, but also within each other. And finally, we got our own slice of what's ours, right? My friends, what you guys are looking at, and it's a shame that you guys can't see it because it's nighttime so well, but you can see the Jerusalem stone, which is actually not from Jerusalem. It's from a quarry next to, what is that place called? Abu Ghosh in the Judean hills. My friends, this is a privilege. The privilege is being here. It's a privilege to be here. It's not a privilege to talk about, sarcastically talk about your downtroddenness. The privilege, you have to realize that you are, in fact, privileged. Do not deny your privilege. But your privilege is not in the fact that you're wealthy and that you have a nice house and that you're finally able to get into Harvard and in Ivy League institutions after actually a long battle for a few years in America. That's not the privilege. The privilege is not the fact that you live in Park Avenue. It's not the fact that you, I don't know, whatever, run banks or Hollywood or this or that. That's not the privilege, okay? And that's actually not which we should be detracting from, nor leading people down a path to think that we're victims, because we're not victims anymore. Nobody believes that. The only people who believe that you're victims are you, okay? You guys are the only ones that believe you're victims. I'm not a victim. I was born in the Soviet freaking Union. My parents were refuseniks for 10 years, okay? And the only reason they even bring it up, refusenik is a person who was not let out of the Soviet Union for political reasons. They were dissidents, and the only reason they even bring it up is not to be a victim or to show you how much you're a victim. It's to show you what they went through so that America doesn't go through that crap again. And my friends, you know what? And I'm not a victim. We came to America. We did what we could. We brought ourselves up. I chose to make Aliyah, and for me, the privilege that I have, I am sure as SHIT privilege. I'll tell you that right now. You know how I'm privileged? I live in Jerusalem. I live 20 minutes. It's a privilege to live 20 minutes walk away from the old city, and I can see Har Bayis from my house, from 2 blocks away from my house. And I pay half of what Jews pay to live in the Upper West Side. To live here in this nice apartment, Baruch Hashem. I'm a privileged as flip. I'm checking my privilege, and I know that stuff. Okay? So you guys talking about, Jewish privilege, let me tell you about the Holocaust and my pogroms. And then, my friends, no, you can't come at me and say anything to me, because you know what? My grandfather served in the Soviet Army, and he escaped what's called encirclement twice, because he was a registered communist. He didn't believe in communism. He was a registered communist. He was a Jew, and he was an officer. So a Jew, they would have just shot in the head. They wouldn't have given him back to, to his army. They wouldn't have sent him back. They wouldn't have taken him as a spy. They would have just shot the guy. You know why? Because they know the Jews don't give up their country. They knew they wouldn't get anything out of a Jew, out of my grandfather, or any Jew for that matter. They would have just shot him in the head. So my grandfather ran away twice. Okay? And he went to Stalingrad, and he went to all these places, okay? And he had his family liquidated. They were in Berdichev, if you guys know Berdichev. He had his first wife before my grandmother. He had a whole family. They were liquidated. Okay, we can walk around, claim victimhood. I have people in my family, went through some stuff you don't even want to know. Okay, evacuation, Uzbekistan, okay? The anti-Semites in Russia make fun of Jews in Russia. They say, yeah, Jews served in the army. They served in Uzbekistan. As if to say, like, they went with the women and children. No. 250,000 Jews served in the army, in the Soviet army, in World War II. Putin, when he came here, he couldn't even say that. He came to Netanya, to this memorial. He said, yeah, I want to commend all the Israeli citizens who served in the Soviet army in the Great War. He couldn't even say Jews. He couldn't say it. As much as he likes Jews and has a soft spot for Israel and for Jews. He couldn't say the word, I want to commend all the Jewish people who served in the Soviet army, 250,000 Jews. Why? Because he doesn't want to piss off the anti-Semites in his country, which there are many. Okay? And I can talk to you about all that stuff, my friends. how downtrodden my family was, and all these things. But you know what, my friends? I don't have that mishigas that you American Jews have. I don't have that mishigas. I'm not attached to the Holocaust. I remember the Holocaust so it doesn't happen again. And you know how I remember the Holocaust? I read a certain parsha where we remember what Amalek did to us. You know who Amalek is? Amalek is the Nazis. That's the modern incarnation. So we remember them. We remember and we say never again. But you know what? That is not my identity. My identity is not remembering the Holocaust and Bagels and Lox and Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. My identity is this. What I just showed you again. And not only is it my identity, my friends, it is a privilege. That's the privilege. Okay? That is the privilege. That's what you guys have to remember. So, guys, I mean, I'm just watching this from the outside. I'm looking at my American Jewish brothers and sisters, and I'm just like, you guys are still in that Gullah stuff. You guys have all the money in the world, and you're still this ghetto Jew who's talking about his downtroddenness, and he wants to play the what is it? The oppression Olympics with the blacks. You're a victim. You're just as much of a victim as the social justice warriors and these I don't know, whatever. These people on campuses and the grievance studies people and you know, so all these people that want their raised fist. You guys are just as much of a victim as these guys in your own heads, in your stupid little heads. And yet you have Hollywood, you have finance, you have the medical field, you have this, you have that, and you're still a victim. You're still a victim. It's so sad. It's so sad. And I don't know when you guys are still in your psychological Mitzrayim. And you know how I know? Because you guys keep voting for a party, 80% of you, who hates you. They hate the Jews and they hate Israel, and now they're aligning with people who hate Jews. You know, and you guys are still voting for them. Why? Because I'll vote for this. You know, if you talk to them, I'll vote for this sooner than I vote for a Republican. Why? Because I don't know. My parents voted for him, and my grandparents voted for it, and we'll always vote for them. Doesn't matter if it's Bernie, Hillary, or that thing that I just saw. I showed you guys in the picture. You guys are still, your brains are still in Gullus. You guys are still Jewish privilege with your Holocaust and pogroms and this. My friends, I've been there and that. I've been there and then some. I'm from the Soviet Union. I'm not a victim. I left, I got out, and for those of you watching who had parents who marched in the Let My People Go movement, thank you very much. But we are not victims anymore. My sister was born in America. She is not a victim. Okay? She was an excellent student. Her Jewish privilege is not the fact that she is, talented and she lives on the Upper West Side. Her Jewish privilege is the fact that if anything should go down in America, she can come join her brother in Yerushalayim, or wherever she wants. She doesn't have to go to Yerushalayim. She can come to Tel Aviv, she can come to the north, she can come to the south. But that's the privilege, my friends. And that is something that we fought for, and we came back after 2,000 years. This is something that we should consider a privilege. It is a privilege to live here. It's a privilege to be a citizen of Israel, especially now during COVID, where only citizens can even get into the country unless you have a letter. Okay, my friends, I saw the privilege when I went to the airport, and the people that had to sit, because they had letters, they had to sit with agents in the airport just to make sure that they're there for whatever reason, non-citizens, and I, with my Israeli passport, I have privilege. I definitely have privilege, but ain't no privilege for Hollywood and this and that. And I'm not gonna play this oppression card, oppression Olympics with you guys. I'm not gonna play it with the black people or any other people, with social justice warriors or anybody like that. The key to liberation is to stop being a victim. Is to stop being oppressed. Is stop reminding people that you were oppressed. I'm talking about everybody now, not just Jews. And you know what, my friends? This is the privilege, where I'm sitting right here. So if anybody wants to join me and be really privileged, I invite you guys. When this country opens up, B'ezrat Hashem, hopefully El Al will be reinvigorated, revived as an airline. United is still flying, Baruch Hashem, Delta's flying. you know, when this country starts back up full throttle, I invite you guys. Come be really privileged with me. Thank you very much.